All right, good morning. Happy Wednesday. It is the first day of the new 2026 MLB season, so I'm here with my MLB season preview. So, to save myself a lot of time, it's basically going to be a preview of the two Chicago teams, both the Cubs and the White Sox, and then perhaps at the end I can give my predictions on to who will reach this year's Fall Classic. So don't forget tonight, the New York Yankees playing the San Francisco Giants. That will be a 7:05 Central start time, and that game will be broadcast exclusively on Netflix. And that pitching matchup is going to be Max Fried against Logan Webb to start off this new season. So that should be fun to watch. I'm definitely going to tune into that. So let's get right into it. Season previews. I am going to start with the Chicago Cubs since they finished with the better record of the two Chicago teams last season. Now, the Cubs are coming off a 2025 season that saw them finish second in the National League Central with a record of 92-70. It saw them defeat the San Diego Padres in 3 games in the NL Wild Card round, and then losing to the Milwaukee Brewers in the fifth and decisive game in the National League Division Series. And that was the first time for the Cubs that they had two playoff series that went the complete distance since 2003. So, off-season recap for the Cubs. Well, they parted ways with Kyle Tucker, who is now on the Los Angeles Dodgers as he tries to help them get the three-peat. We'll talk about the Dodgers a little bit later. But however, the Cubs went and they got a key free agent signing by the name of Alex Bregman. He is a very experienced third baseman. He's great defensively. He provides a really good, productive bat in the middle of that Cubs lineup, and he's got championship experience. He's won a World Series with the Astros, so he's gonna be a real good fit here. And they also went out and traded for Edward Cabrera, who figures to be at the top of that Cubs starting rotation, which I feel is much stronger than it was a year ago. And also made some big bullpen moves, and all of this trying to overtake Milwaukee and try to win their first NL Central Division since the 2020 season. So Edward Cabrera, I think, is going to be a real X factor for the Cubs. The ERA for him, it's been middle to high fours. And then last season, he got it down to 3.53. But however, he has had issues with injuries. He's only pitched over 100 innings in the season once, and that came last season. But however, when this kid's healthy, he has very, very great command, a fastball in the high 90s, and he can develop a lot of swing and miss stuff out there. So it will be exciting to see what he's got. And I think for the Cubs offense, I think they have to kind of pick up what they did in the first half of last season, and that's when they were just really they were extremely dangerous, and they were leading the MLB in a lot of categories, and they looked like a force to reckon with. And then after the All-Star break, I think everybody collectively just really underperformed, and you kind of saw it in bits and pieces in the playoffs where they just struggled to kind of execute with guys in scoring position. So if the Cubs offense can just keep it booming, they're able to get on base and get their steals, and they're able to deliver with runners in scoring position, then this could be a really, really good year. And you want to send congratulations to Pete Core Armstrong, who received a 6-year extension that will be worth up to 115 million, and that will not kick in until 2027. So, congrats to Pete, and he is going to be a Cub for a long time, hopefully for the remainder of his MLB career. But we gotta just enjoy him until his contract runs out, and then we can pick that discussion up at a later point. But I think a good note for the Cubs here: Justin Steele seems like he's ahead of schedule and returning from his Tommy John surgery, and that will be a huge boost to the rotation. This summer, and then you combine that with Cade Horton, who finished second in the NL and Rookie of the Year voting behind Jason Mizorowski of Milwaukee. And I think it's going to be a really good rotation. The bullpen should be improved. Of course, we all saw what Daniel Palencia did in the World Baseball Classic. He was absolutely lights out for Venezuela throughout the entire tournament. And, Cub fans are hoping he does the same for the Northsiders all summer long. So a lot of experts predict that the Cubs should be the favorites in the National League Central, and they should be back in the postseason. And that should be a fun team to watch. Now let's shift to the Chicago White Sox. Now the White Sox last season finished with 102 losses. Now this is the first time ever that the White Sox have lost over 100 consecutive games. And so for the White Sox, they're just looking to go. They're just looking to go up from here. And I think for the White Sox, the key for them is going to be their youth movement on offense. And it starts with a huge move that they made during the offseason. I think they shocked a lot of teams around baseball when they won the sweepstakes to acquire Japanese slugger Munetaka Murakami. Hopefully I pronounced that right. If I didn't, my apologies. And the White Sox can put this kid right in the heart of their batting order. And I think one thing about the White Sox this year is they have a lot of youth movement on offense. You saw some of their guys in the World Baseball Classic who had some key moments, and that's going to be a very key. I know Colston Montgomery is going to be a guy to watch for them offensively, and if you're a White Sox fan, you hope that they did enough pitching wise for them to have a better record. They're not expected to compete for the division title in the AL Central. I think that's going to be between the Tigers and the Royals, but as if you're a fan of a team that lost 100 plus games, you just look for any positives that can put them in a better situation and just have them more competitive. That's what you can hope for as a fan. So White Sox able to add right-hander Jordan Hicks, formerly of the St. Louis Cardinals, and then closer Sarah Anthony Dominguez. Of course, Luis Robert Jr. was dealt in the offseason to the New York Mets, and the White Sox getting Luis Angel Acuna in the deal. So, like I said, the X factor should be the offense. A lot of young guys in there. They should be exciting to watch, and they'll get people out to the ballpark. I think if you take away Andrew Benintendi and Austin Hayes, a lot of these guys on the White Sox are, they're kind of young and up and coming stars looking to make their mark and prove that they belong in the league. At the trade deadline, I don't really know if they're going to be in position to make any moves with all the trades that they've already made. Of course, they no longer have Garrett Crochet, who is the ace now for Boston. And I think now for the White Sox, it's all about developing their young talent. They did not spend a ton of money on free agents. Matter of fact, it was under $2 million. So they're really banking on the youth movement to kind of righten the ship and get them and a slow improvement to where in a couple of years from now they can be contenders again in the American League Central. So, okay, so now a lot of people want to know who's going to be in the Fall Classic. Can anyone dethrone the Dodgers from pulling off a three-peat? It would be the first three-peat in baseball since the Yankees did it from 1998 to 2000. I think if the Dodgers have a speed bump, as to say, and if they do not reach the World Series, um, I think that the two most likely teams that could dethrone them could both be in the NL East. The Mets. Now, with the pitching staff that they have, they were able to acquire Freddie Cabrera from the Milwaukee Brewers. Of course, they lost Pete Alonso in the offseason. I know that really hurts, but they do have a very deep pitching staff, and that could get them into a deep October run. And then also, you got to look at the Philadelphia Phillies. They lost Ranger Suarez, but now they have a absolute stud in waiting in Andrew Painter, who will probably get called up at some point during the season. And they made some changes in the outfield. Harrison Bader, Nick Castellanos no longer on the team. Justin Crawford and Adolis Garcia will step in, and that could be a team to watch. And if it's not from the NL East, a lot of people feel like it could be the Cubs. Of course, they would need a absolutely healthy pitching staff. They would need for Justin Steele, Edward Cabrera, Cade Horton, all those guys to stay healthy, because if they do, that's your top three rotation, I think, in any postseason series. And of course, like I said, the offense has to revert back to what they did last year prior to the All-Star break. They were leading the MLB in a lot of key offensive categories, and they looked like they were going to be a team to reckon with. And then the All-Star break happened, and then just everybody collectively just really did not perform to their capabilities. So that could be fun to watch. Now, in the American League, I think it's a little more wide open. A lot of people feel like the Toronto Blue Jays could be in position to, again, reach the World Series. Once again, I know a lot of their pitching staff is banged up. They're going to start the season in the IL, but if they are able to kind of right the ship, get healthy at the right time, they could be back in the mix. And don't forget, the Blue Jays able to acquire Dylan Cease. They got him on a big 7-year deal. That's going to be up to $210 million. And then they're able to get Japanese third baseman Kazuma Okamoto. And then they were also able to pick up some bullpen pieces, Tyler Rogers and Cody Ponce, and then able to get Jesus Sanchez in their outfield. So Toronto has the they have the ability to get back to the Fall Classic, and if they don't, I think that Seattle could take a step even further and reach the Fall Classic for the first time ever. Of course, they came up just short last season, losing a heartbreaking 7th and decisive game to the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, for Seattle, their pitching staff is very deep, and it could be the best in the American League. And they're looking to promote Colt Emerson, who is their number one overall prospect. This kid's just 20 years